Recording.
Okay, so last time we finished. So what did we do last time? So we started a new section about module category. So we defined this notion. We draw all the diagram that this notion should satisfy. And we finished last time by providing, if you have a module category, then you can provide, if you have a left C module, M, then the dual of M, you can provide a left or a right module category. So we explained that last time. So today, so let's first state a proposition about C module category related to the left and right adjoint, related to the natural adjunction isomorphism. The proposition, we will explain a bit the proof by diagram, which will be exactly the same that for the general monoidal category case, not for module. So let C be a rigid monoidal category, and let M be a C module category, then there is a canonical isomorphism related to the natural adjunction isomorphism. The natural isomorphism M X star tensor M to N isomorphic to M M X tensor N. So as usual, you can move this one here. So this isomorphism is natural in X in C, M, N in M. So what mean natural mean? So let me recall. Natural means that it's a natural transformation between two functors given by a series of morphisms which are isomorphism. So natural mean here natural transformation of functors phi, where the functor f, where f is a functor from C cross M to set G M N maps to the set M X star tensor M N and G, the functor from M cross M to set X M N maps to the set on the category M of M from M to X tensor N. And so it's such a natural transformation between these two functors such that phi xmn is an isomorphism for all x in C and m n in the category M. So you have such canonical natural isomorphism. And the proof, as I said, is exactly as for the result we already proved in the chapter about monoidal category, what we often call natural adjunction isomorphism. So we will recall some picture quickly. So the proof as for the natural adjunction isomorphism. So as follow by picture. Pictorially, you have so M X N. Then you can apply the evaluation. So you have N. You have here, you have X, and you have evaluation map. And you go here, X star. Here, this is evaluation map of X. This is equal to X star M N. But you can also go to, you can come back like that. M X star N. And you do like that. Here is a co-evaluation map of X. And you have X. And this is equal to M X. So you came back. So it's equal to, let me see. I cannot write it directly. Let me draw it here. This is equal to like that. Tac. What did we do? We first apply the evaluation map. And then the co-evaluation map. So this is equal to by zigzag relation. Okay. So we have this fundamental natural isomorphism, generalization of the natural adjunction isomorphism, but to the C module category. Okay, so now we can reformulate as usual in terms of left and right adjoint. In other words, for C rigid, the endofunctor from M to M from mapping, so like that, X star tensor M to X star tensor M is a left adjoint to M maps to X tensor M. And M maps to star X tensor M is a right adjoint to what? To this one, X tensor M. Okay. We have always this correspondence with left and right adjoint. It's usual. So okay, so what about now? Now we will introduce the notion of, so we introduced the notion of module category, but we will also need the notion of bimodule category. So now let me define the notion of bimodule category. So the definition will be is very easy to expect, in fact, but it requires to write some extra diagram to commute. In fact, you have a bimodule category. You should be a left C mode. You should have a left module category, a right module category, but you should also have some extra property for the left and right module to be compatible. Let me check something. There's a mistake in my note. Right. Okay. Okay. Definition. So we will provide. We first need to give a list of definition and basic property, but don't worry, we will provide a big list of examples later of module category and bimodule category, etc. Bimodule category. Let C be monoidal category. So, C D bimodule category is a category. So it should be a left C module category, a right D module category with the corresponding module associativity constraint. But we will have an extra constraint called the middle associativity constraint to handle the left and right tensor module product. So a CD bimodule category is a category M that has, as you can expect, left C module structure with module associativity constraint. Associativity constraint. So this notation, x, m, x, y, m, from x tensor y tensor z tensor m, sorry. Isomorphism, x tensor. So you move the parenthesis. So it's a left C module, it's a right D module. Structure, blah, 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 blah. Here, write N for the module associativity constraint M, W, W, Z. So from M tensor W tensor Z, isomorphic to M tensor W tensor Z. Okay, and the last ingredient, they should be compatible by an extra ingredient, by a natural isomorphism B defined by the collection B X M Z. So X tensor M tensor Z. So you see here, here the object, these two objects are in D, these two objects are in C, but now this is in C, this is in D. And you have, this should be isomorphic to, like that. And this is called the middle associativity constraint. And it should satisfy two commuting diagrams to remove every ambiguity. As I already said, the commuting diagram in category theory is usually just here to remove ambiguity. So it's the commuting diagram are your friend. They are here to simplify everything. There is no more ambiguity. So it's called middle associativity constraint. Middle associativity constraint. This. So it satisfies two diagrams, as I said, such that the following two diagrams commute all X, Y, C, Z, W in D, M in M. So these two diagrams are as follow. Okay, so you start from X tensor Y. These two diagrams will be like pentagon as for module category, but here you have bi-module category, so you play with left and right module. X and Y are in C, Z is in D, and M is in the middle. So you have two choices here. You can apply the middle associativity constraint in here, and identity here. So M, X, Y, M tensor identity of Z. What you get is X tensor Y tensor M tensor Z. Or you can apply so not the middle, what I am saying. Ah, yeah, so this notation M is not very good. B for, in fact, so in the book they wrote M for the left, N for the right, and B for middle. In fact, M should be for middle. Otherwise, it's confusing, but anyway. So this is not the middle, of course, this is because you only deal with a C element of the, so it's the left, it's the left associativity constraint, this one. Sorry about that. M is for left, N is for right, and B is for middle. Anyway, so you can apply the left, or you can apply the middle associativity constraint to this, and this. So B X tensor Y M Z. What you get is X tensor Y tensor M tensor Z. Okay, now you can here apply the middle associativity constraint on that, and that. Or on the right, you can apply the left associativity constraint on that, and that. This is an element of the module now. So let me remove that before. So here, the middle, as I said, so B X Y tensor M Z, and here the left one M X Y M tensor Z. So you get X tensor Y tensor M tensor Z, or X tensor Y tensor M tensor Z. And finally, you can apply the middle again on this component. Middle on that, and that. So for the first diagram, the compatibility of the first diagram only involve the left module associativity constraint and the middle one. And the second diagram will involve the middle and the right one. And it will be the same. So you have identity on X, and as I said, you apply the middle which one? Yeah, the middle associativity constraint Y M Z, and that should commute. So this is a symbol for diagram commute. And the second diagram involving the right associativity constraint. So this is exactly the same, so I will go quicker. So you start from that tensor M tensor Y tensor Z. Okay, so here you apply the right. So you apply identity on X and the right associativity constraint on the other component. So identity X tensor the right associativity constraint on MWZ, you get X tensor M tensor W tensor Z. Then, so this, in fact, this diagram, so you have to be careful because, in fact, you have to change the orientation of the arrow here. You should go by there. So you start from X tensor M tensor Y tensor Z, and here you apply the middle associativity constraint on that, and that. So Bx MW tensor Z. And here you have an arrow in this here. Here you apply the right associativity constraint on X tensor M YZ, and you get so X tensor M tensor Y tensor Z. And here you apply. So you leave the Z. You apply associativity constraint on XMW. XMW tensor identity of Z. And you get X tensor M tensor W tensor Z. And finally, you can go, you apply the middle associativity constraint on X M tensor W Z. Okay. That commute also. So that was the definition of CD bimodule category. So you see there is nothing complicated. It's just you just need to write the appropriate diagram to commute, to remove the ambiguity. So you just have to find what is the ambiguity here and to write a diagram removing it, and that's all. Very easy. Okay, so now we define what is a C module category and a CD bimodule category. We want to define the notion of module functor. Module functors. So we want to take two C module category, and we want to define the notion of C module functor between these two C module category. So it will be the usual functor, but with some additional assumption to be compatible with the C module structure. Definition. So let Mn N be two C module category, and C is monoidal category. It's still monoidal category. So we will, in the next section of this chapter, we will assume C to be a multi-tensor category, but for now it's still a monoidal category. Monoidal category. So with associativity with module associativity constraint denoted M and N. M and N, Mn, respectively. Respectively, like that. Okay, so we will need this M and N for the extra structure. So a C module functor from M to N. So it's a functor is given by a functor F from M to N with some additional structure. And a natural isomorphism S defined as SXM, so isomorphism between the object f of X tensor M to the object X tensor f of M. So it's, you see, it's like a yeah. So you can put the object X outside. It's a C module category functor. So X C M in M. So you see, a C module functor, you can think this as it looks like if you have a linear transformation where you have a K linear map where K is a field, and here you replace K by the category C, and you replace the element of the field, the scalar, by the object of the category. So you can put, as for a linear map, you can put the scalar outside. More generally, this is something usual for a module over a ring. Anyway. Here, what I said is you take the field as a ring. So what kind of additional structure, what kind of ambiguity you have to remove here? So what kind of diagram? Such that the following diagram, there are two commute for all X and Y in C and for all M in M. So two diagrams. So if you start from f of tensor y tensor m, two possibilities. First, you apply the natural isomorphism we just mentioned on X tensor y and m. And so you can put X tensor y outside and tensor f of m. But you can also apply the associativity constraint inside the functor f. So f of m associativity constraint on x, y, m. And what you get is just you change the parenthesis inside the functor f. Y tensor m. Now, here, you can apply the natural isomorphism of C module functor on the x and y tensor m. So you put x outside. You get x tensor f of y tensor m. And here you apply the associativity constraint of the other of n, the module associativity constraint of the category n on x, y, fm. X, y, fm. And what you get is you just change the parenthesis. So f of m. And finally, you can go from one to the other. So you put identity on x, and you apply again the natural isomorphism of C module functor S on y and m. And you see you put y outside. So that should commute. And we also have an extra diagram managing the unit. So you have a triangle. If you have that, you can put one outside. And here you apply the usual isomorphism F to reduce to Fm. But you can also apply here F Lm inside F, and you get the same. So you want also that to commute. And that's all. This is the notion of C module functor. So if you think, as I said, if you think module category as generalization of module over a ring, in particular, if you think about a ring to be a field, that module over a field is a vector space, then C module functor generalizes its categorification of the notion of linear map between two vector space, or more generally, etc., etc. So it's good to think this as a categorification of the notion of linear map when the ring is a field. Okay. So generalization and a categorification of this notion. So, as I said, more generally, the notion of C module functor categorify the notion of homomorphism of module over a ring for example, if ring equal field that correspond to linear map between vector space. of between vector spaces. Okay. So that's a very big generalization of the notion of linear mapping. Very deep. Okay, so now what time is it? Okay. So now, so maybe I should make the pause here. Let me see if I have time to write something in 3 minutes. So let me see. Okay. So maybe I can write that. And then we will make the pause. Okay. So a C-module equivalence. C-module equivalence is a C-module functor. It's a definition. C-module functor F S. So a C-module functor is F and S. You have the functor F, but you have also the natural isomorphism S, F and S. So C-module equivalence is a C-module functor Fs such that F from M to N is an equivalence of category, which means, let me recall the meaning of equivalence of category. It's quite old in the course before the pause. So there exists a functor from M to N to M and natural isomorphism phi from G composed with F to identity of M and another isomorphism, natural isomorphism F composed with G to identity of N. Okay. Equivalence of category. Okay, so let me do the pause now. Okay. Okay, so we can define a category of where the objects are the C-module functor between two C-module categories. So you take two C-module categories, M and N, and you can define a category where the objects are C-module functor between M and N. And where the morphism are natural isomorphism, natural transformation, sorry, between this functor. We can define a category of C modules functors between two C module functor between two C module categories. Category M and N. Where the morphism are given by natural transformation, satisfying some extra property, some compatibility property. Where the morphism between two C module functors F, S, and G T are the natural transformation mu from F to G such that the following commute. Rolex in C, M in M. So you start from F X tensor M. Here you apply the natural transformation mu on X tensor M and you get G of X tensor M. So be careful, there is a mistake here in the book, which is fixed here. So you can apply here the S. So you can put X outside. X tensor F of M. Which is the natural isomorphism of C module functor. And here you can apply the natural transformation mu to so identity on X and then the natural transformation mu on M. So you have X tensor GM, which is also what you get if you apply the isomorphism of C module functor T. So you put outside here, TXM. That commute. So you should remove this ambiguity also. Okay. Category of C module functor between two C module category. So if you think about the linear algebra counterpart of that, C module category are vector space, C module functor are linear map, and so you are talking about the category of C module functor. Here, this category of C module functor is generalized category of linear map. So it's in some sense it's a categorification of matrix algebra or something like that. Just a set of matrices between two vector space, two fixed vector space. Okay, so Here. Exercise. Has to show that you can compose two module functor. The composition of two C module functor is a C module functor. So you have M, N, and L to be C module category. C module category. You have F1, S1, F2, S2. That C module functor. C module functors. Okay. And you have to show that Fs is a C module functor where F equal the composition of the two, F2 compose F1, and S is given as follow. And S, so how to write that? So S and S S of X and M from F X tensor M, which is equal to F2 composed with F1. So I should make that. So I need more space. Let me put that on the left. Put that here. S is as follow, as you can expect. So this is M. You apply S1 on X and M. And what you get is F2 of, you put X outside, tensor F1 of M, and then you apply here, let me write it here, S2 on X F1 of M, and you put X outside, tensor F2 of F1 of M, which is nothing but F tensor X tensor F of M. Okay. So you get like that. You can go from there to there. S, X, M. Okay. Okay. So now, so you can compose C-module functor like that. Now, so the next remark will state that what we proved for monoidal category about Mac-Lane strictness theorem, which is about the fact that you can remove the bracket. You don't need to care about the bracket too much. In fact, this works also for module category. And also, we can also don't care too much about the unit object. So let me state that. And the proof of all that, in fact, is the same as for monoidal category. So we can prove a Mac-Lane strictness theorem for module category. Categories allowing to remove bracket and we can assume without loss of generality that following one tensor M equal to M. So let me write this here. So the isomorphism LM, the left isomorphism, is just the identity for all M in the module C-module category. So that so this diagram, so that if you make this assumption, this diagram, what I will call the second diagram for C-module functor, the second diagram for C-module functor mean just S1M equal identity of F of M. So let me show you. So S1M is a isomorphism with which you can put one outside. But now we know that we can make the assumption that this is equal to M. This is identity, etc. So in fact, everything can cancel more or less. So you have S1M equal identity. Okay. Otherwise, it is if you don't want to make this assumption, but you can do this assumption without loss of generality, so it's okay. But in general, if you, in the case you don't do that, you need to assume, to have this equality, you need to assume the category to be strict. But anyway. Now we want to restrict to the case where the category is a multi-tensor category. So module category over multi-tensor category. Module category over multi-tensor category. Okay. So now the category C will be assumed to be a multi-tensor category. Over a field K. Definition of what is a C-module category in this case. So we have a definition of C-module category when C is a general monoidal category. But if C is a multi-tensor category, we need to specify some details about exactness. So a C-module category with C, a multi-tensor category, is a locally finite and abelian category M over the field K, which is a C-module category where with C as a monoidal category, which is a C-module category with C as a monoidal category. So you take the definition of the monoidal case. So this can look strange. You say a C-module category is a C-module category. So you have to be careful. Here C is considered as a multi-tensor category. Here it's considered as a monoidal category. So a C-module category where C is a multi-tensor category. So you have the previous definition when C is assumed to be a monoidal category, plus some extra property. So multi-tensor category. Okay. Such that so I will write such that what? So let me just recall briefly. Let me remind you briefly what meaning of locally finite. Because it's a bit far in the course. This will be not very long. So which means that for all x and y in what? The locally monoidal category M. The dimension over the field K of the Ohm space Ohm over M x and y should be finite dimensional, and the object x has finite length, and finite length is that there exists a Jordan holder Jordan Holder filtration. Jordan Holder series. So something finite, Jordan Holder. Okay. So a C-module category with C as multi-tensor category is a locally finite abelian category M over the field K, which is a C-module category where C is assumed to be mono as with C as a monodial category, such that the module product bifunctor from C cross M to M is bilinear. So this is M here. Is bilinear on the morphism. Is bilinear on the morphism. Let me check something. Okay. On the morphism. And exact in the first variable. And so, in fact, so in both variable using left right adjoint exercise. So what this exercise is saying that we don't need to assume left the first and the second variable to be exact. We only need to assume the first to be exact because we can, from that, you can prove that the second is also exact using left and right adjoint. So anyway, the first and the second are exact. But if you need to prove something is a left C-module category for multi-tensor category, you just need to prove the first variable. Anyway, so what about now? Yeah, okay. So we proved last session, we proved that for C, a monoidal category, there is a bijective correspondence between structure of C module category on a category M and monoidal functors F from C to and M. So we will have, we can prove such a proposition for this structure where C is a monoidal, is multi-tensor category, but we need to be careful about exactness again. So let me state such a proposition, such a represent, which is a categorification of the notion of representation. In what sense you have to be careful if you want something for multi-tensor category with the C-module category structure of with C multi-tensor category. So recall that we proved last session the following proposition for C as monoidal category. So we prove that proposition. I rewrite it because this is very quick. There is a bijective correspondence between structures of C module category on a category M and monoidal functor F from C to and M. We did that last session. Now, with the same proof for C multi-tensor category, we can prove we can have exactly the same thing. So there is a bijective correspondence between structure of C module category on M and this will change now, and what? And exact monoidal functor F from C to and L of M. So you have two variations. You have to add exact and you have to add L, and L mean left exact. So the category of left exact functor from M to M. So in the book, they did not write exact monoidal functor, but they write tensor functor. And then they wrote a footnote in which they said that it's an abuse of language to say tensor functor because this is not a ring category in general. So tensor functor should be understood as exact monoidal functor. So I choose to directly write exact monoidal functor and to do not write the footnote. Anyway, so there is a problem about that because we need that to be an abelian category. And so there is some comment by Ulrich Thiel. I will mention here. So you have to be careful about some details here. So where? So let me recall that this dot mean you just rewrite exactly the same thing as here. Okay, so now where and L of M is the abelian, and you have to be careful about. We will be careful about that. Why this is abelian? Category of left exact functor from M to M. To M. And you have to be careful for why this is an abelian category. So remark. According to Ulrich Thiel, He wrote Ulrich Thiel, you can find online. He wrote comments on the book. And so I am following also this comment and also comments, so mainly fixing the error and making some comments. So according to Ulrich Thiel, this abelianity here require some extra assumption on the category M. Require M to be an essentially small, locally finite abelian category. Be an essentially small, locally finite abelian category. Abelian category over a field. I guess K. I don't know if that should be the same field, but I guess yes. And essentially small mean, so essentially small mean equivalent to a small category. And as I already said, small category means that the object from a set and the space set, the collection of functors of a morphism are also a set. Small category. Okay. So for multi-tensor category, we have this representation proposition, proposition providing a categorification of the notion of representation. We represent C here. Okay. Now, so let me finish today's session by some so we will discuss about direct sum and indecomposable C-module category. And then we will stop here. Then we will stop there. And next session, we will talk about example of module category and bimodule category, the basic example. So that will be next session, but for today, we will finish with the notion of direct sum for C-module category and the notion of indecomposable C-module category. But before that, let me precise the following. So the module functor between module category over multi-tensor category will be assumed to be left exact. And we will just denoted module functor. So when the category is a multi-tensor category, the module functor will be assumed to be left exact. But that will be not specified with. This will be assumed to be left exact without being specified. We will just call that module functor. This is what I want to say. So the module functors between module categories over multi-tensor category will be assumed to be left exact. And just called module functor. So be careful about that. Okay. So what about direct sum and decomposable? So this will be very brief, in fact. So there is an obvious way to make a direct sum of C module category. There is an obvious construction of direct sum M1, M2 of C module categories M1, M2 and using sum of module product, sum of associativity constraint, and unit constraint, sum of unit constraint. So there's an obvious way to do that, and that allows us to provide the following definition. So this is more or less a definition of direct sum. So there is a obvious natural canonical way to make a direct sum. You just sum everything, every data, module product, associativity constraint, unit constraint, etc. And then you can define the notion of indecomposable C module. So a C module category M is called indecomposable. If M equal M1 plus M2 imply M1 or M2 equal 0. Okay. So next session, we'll start by providing example of module and bimodule category. See you later. Okay. So I will stop here.